let's go over some books that are releasing in April that I have my eyes on. Hi everyone, it's Rhonda and welcome to a new video. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about some brand new releases for the month of April. I picked about 10 books in the romance and thriller slash mystery slash suspense genre that I kind of have my eyes on, that I either A, definitely want to read and will be reading or buying or checking out from the library, or B, they sound interesting. Maybe it's a new author for me. I'm going to see what other people think, but it's on my radar. And we're going to start off with a big one right off the bat. On April 2nd, Abby Jimenez has a brand new book coming out called Just for the Summer. It's about 432 pages and it is just a rom-com. I have actually read my first two Abby Jimenez books recently. I read Part of Your World and Yours Truly, and I love them. They were so good. I gave them both 4 stars. I really liked her writing style, and I also really enjoyed how she kind of brought in something real that a character is dealing with, whether it's social anxiety or some kind of emotional abuse, and in some cases physical. She's definitely putting in some real world issues in her books, and I am here for that. I enjoy that, and she writes about it very well. But in this book, you are following 2 characters who are talking on Reddit, and come to find out every person that they have dated and broken up with, that person has gone on to meet their soulmate right after. And so they hatch up this plan to date for a very short time and then break up so that they can each meet their soulmate. So I find this very unique and interesting. I don't know that it's fake dating. I think they are actually dating. But this is definitely a book that I want to read on April 2nd. I'm definitely going to the bookstore and getting that one. So also on April 2nd is She's Not Sorry by Mary Kubica. I have actually already read this. I got a copy of it in advance on NetGalley, so thank you NetGalley for allowing me to read this early. And I actually enjoyed it. I think it got some mixed reviews from people who read it early, but I think I gave it 3.5 or 4 stars. I thought it was really good. There were some little holes, some things I didn't like about that. I'm not going to do a full review, but if you are a Mary Kubica fan, you will enjoy this book. I have read a couple other books by her, Local Woman Missing and The Other Mrs. Both of those, I did really enjoy Local Woman Missing, and The Other Mrs. I did read this month, and I think I gave it 3 stars. It was okay, but I'll do a full review on that one in my monthly wrap-up. So definitely subscribe if you aren't already, so that you know when I post that video. But let's talk about She's Not Sorry. So in this book, you are following this ICU nurse who is recently divorced. She has custody of her teenage daughter, and because she is a nurse, she works at night a lot. And one day in her ICU triage, a woman comes in who has survived a suicide attempt. She has jumped off a bridge onto some railroad tracks and somehow survived. And so the nurse, what is her name? I can't even remember her name. Megan Michaels. So the nurse, Megan Michaels, she kind of attaches herself to this patient in a way. She's very interested in her and what made her do this, what happened. She's also connecting with the parents. There's also this guy that just shows up. He's kind of off and something's going on with him. So she's just trying to figure out what's going on with this patient and the family. At the same time, there is a serial killer on the loose in the area that she lives, and he is basically following women home, women who he knows are alone at night, and killing them. So she's worried about her daughter being home alone. She's dealing with an ex-husband. She's dealing with this patient and that family. So she's got a lot going on in her world, and she's just kind of trying to navigate through it. Like I said, I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it was, it took a little bit to get into the story. I will be honest with you. I think it took about a third of the book for me to get invested into what's going on, just because so much is going on and you're trying to know who the characters are and what's going on in the book. So once I got past that 1/3 mark, the book flew by. It was a very fast read. I was very tense and anxious in certain parts, just because I do have a daughter who's almost 12, and it just, it got me, it got me, okay? As I mentioned, I gave it 3.5, 4 stars. I thought it was good. I thought there were some things I didn't like about it, but I'll get into more of that in my full review during the wrap up. But if you like Mary Kubica, give it a shot. If this interests you, if you're a nurse and you like reading about other nursing books, definitely read it. If you just want to be entertained, you just want a fast-paced book and you're not reading too much in between the lines, then this book is for you. Also coming out on April 2nd, there's a lot of books coming out on April 2nd, by the way, is The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. It is a companion book to one of her previous books called The Cheat Sheet. I haven't read anything from her, but I do want to read books by her just because I heard she's a clean romance. I don't have to have a clean romance. I don't mind a little bit of spice, but I find that some of the books I'm reading are just a little over the top. But I do want to check out, she also wrote When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. I do want to read both of those. I've heard great things about her and her books. So this is on my radar, but I kind of want to read Cheat Sheet before. If they're companion novels, I kind of want to read the first one before I pick up the second one. But this says, Nora McKenzie's entire career lies in the hands of famous NFL tight end Derek Pender, who also happens to be her extremely hot college ex-boyfriend. Nora didn't end things gracefully as she could have back then, and now it's come back to haunt her. Derek is her first client as an official full-time sports agent, and he's holding a grudge. Derek has set his sights on a little friendly revenge. If Nora McKenzie, the first girl to ever break his heart, wants to be his agent, oh, he'll let her be his agent. The plan is to make Nora's life absolutely miserable, but if Derek knows anything about the woman he once loved, she won't quit easily. Instead of giving in, Nora starts a scheme of her own, but then a wild night in Vegas leads to Nora and Derek in bed the next morning, married. With the rule book out the window, could this new relationship be the thing that saves their careers? So this is a sports romance. As I mentioned, I think she does clean romances, and I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by her and her books, and this sounds interesting to me. I love that there's a female sports agent, and this is an NFL football themed romance. So I do want to read The Cheat Sheet first. I think I'm going to add that to my wish list so that I can maybe pick it up one day and then read this after. But if you've read anything from Sarah Adams, let me know if she does do clean romances, and also let me know which one is your favorite so that I can maybe pick up one of her books or 2 of her books sometime soon. All right, next up also on April 2nd is Neighborhood Watch by Sarah Rita. Sorry. Apparently this author is a middle school author, and this is her first adult thriller, and actually this book actually sounds very interesting to me. And it says, the neighborhood of Oleander Court is the poster child for suburban bliss. The residents compare lawns beautifully by hired help. They monitor home values. They toss perfect furniture because they wanted tapioca, not beige. But when a string of murders rip through the neighborhood, suspicions abound as new secrets come to light. And as more and more bodies are taken away, it becomes clear that the killer is strategically selecting each and every victim, picking off the shallowest, most wasteful of the lot in spectacular fashion and leaving everyone in the neighborhood to wonder who's next. I am intrigued. It sounds really interesting, and I actually did put this book on hold at my local library because this is one that I do want to read. The last book coming out on April 2nd is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Holly Jackson, some of you already may know this, but she is a YA thriller author, and I am currently reading or trying to read a book by her called 5 Survive. And I say that I'm trying to read it just because I borrowed this book from my local library about 5 days ago, and I've been trying to read it, and it's taking a lot for me just to get through the first 50 pages. So I'm gonna keep pushing through, but if I do like it, then I'll definitely try and pick this one up. I've heard that her Good Girl murder books, I can't remember the name of those books, but I've heard those are really good too. So we'll see how I like 5 Survive. If you read 5 Survive and if you feel like that is a great book of hers, or if you did not like it and you think I should read another book of hers, let me know. Because so far, like I said, it's taken me a bit to get into it. The writing style is a little weird. I'm having a hard time following, which is strange because it is a YA novel. I think I should be able to read this pretty quickly, but I'm having a hard time following who's who and what's happening. But anyway, in this book, so it just says this is a mystery thriller about a girl determined to uncover the shocking truth about her missing mother while filming a documentary on unsolved cases. 18-year-old Belle has lived her whole life in the shadow of her mom's mysterious disappearance. 16 years ago, Rachel Price vanished, and young Belle was the only witness, but she has no memory of it. Rachel is gone, long presumed dead, and Belle wishes everyone would just move on. But the case is dragged up from the past when the Price family agreed to a true crime documentary. Belle can't wait for filming to end, for life to go back to normal. And then the impossible happens. Rachel Price reappears, and life never will be normal again. Rachel has an unbelievable story about what happened to her. Unbelievable because Belle isn't sure it is real. If Rachel is lying, then where has she been all this time? And could she be dangerous? With the camera still rolling, Belle must uncover the truth about her mother and find out why Rachel Price really came back from the dead. This sounds really interesting. So it got 4.37 stars already on Goodreads with over 1,000 ratings. I think some of these are 5 stars just because people want to read it. But we'll see how I do with 5 Survive. I may, even if I don't like 5 Survive, I might go ahead and pick this up and give her a second chance just because I've heard great things about Holly Jackson's. I've heard she's a really good YA thriller writer, and this book definitely intrigues me. All right, let's move away from April 2nd and let's move on to April 9th, which is when Megan Miranda's next thriller comes out called Daughter of Mine. I have not read anything from her. I believe she has 7 other books, and she also writes YA thrillers. Okay, so this is about a woman named Hazel Sharp. She's the daughter of Mirror Lake's longtime local detective, and she unexpectedly inherits her childhood home. She's warily drawn back to the town and the people she left behind almost a decade earlier. But apparently a drought has descended on the region, and as the water level in the lake drops, long hidden secrets begin to emerge, including evidence that may help finally explain the mystery of her mother's disappearance. So I'm intrigued by this. It reminds me of, I watched a documentary about a year ago about Lake Mead over in Nevada, and the water levels there have gotten really old, and they're finding these relics of, I think they found barrels of people's remains that have been tossed over into Lake Mead, and this kind of reminds me of that. It was a really good documentary, but I kind of want to read this. If you read anything from Megan Miranda, let me know what I should expect from her, and if you're going to be reading this, or if there is a book that you recommend by her, because I haven't read anything from her. Coming out on April 23rd is Funny Story by Emily Henry, and a lot of people love her and are really looking forward to this new release. I have only read one other book by her, and that was Beach Read, and I didn't love it. I gave it 2 stars. I just, no, I didn't like it. I'm sorry. If you love that book, don't hate me. This is a book that I read. So real quick, Beach Read was a book that I read in March, and that's going to be on my March wrap up. So again, be sure you watch that video later. I just didn't feel the chemistry with the characters. I didn't feel the history and the angst that they had, that I felt like Emily Henry was trying to give us. I didn't feel like the character development was there for that book. But I don't want to write her off because I know she is beloved. A lot of people really, really enjoy her books, and I do want to read other things from her. And this one sounds interesting. This sounds really cute. It's apparently 2 people who broke up with their fiancés and they end up dating each other. So a little bit of fake dating. This sounds cute. I might go ahead and give this a shot. So with Emily Henry, I feel like it's more women's lit with just a dash of romance, or at least that's what I got from Beach Read. But this one sounds very interesting, and more than likely, I bet this is going to be the book of the month, either the pick for the romance genre, or it's going to be an add-on, and more than likely I'll add this to my box if it is. Okay, also coming out on April 23rd is Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. I haven't read anything from her. I believe she's an Australian writer, but she has about 8 other novels, so she's been around for a little while, and I just haven't heard of her before. So apparently this is about 3 separate women who, when they were children, they were pulled out of or rescued from just broken homes, and they went to this foster home that was run by Miss Fairchild. And I think by appearances, they are getting given a second chance at a happy family life. And then it says, but their childhood wasn't the fairy tale everyone thinks it was. Miss Fairchild had rules. Miss Fairchild could be unpredictable. And Miss Fairchild was never ever to be crossed. In a moment of desperation, the three broke away from Miss Fairchild and thought they were free. Even though they never saw her again, she was always somewhere in the shadows of their minds. When a body is discovered under the home they grew up in, the foster sisters find themselves thrust into the spotlight as key witnesses. Or are they prime suspects? I'm interested. I think this is something I'm going to keep on my radar. So this book has actually already been released, I believe, in Australia. And on Goodreads, it has over 15,000 ratings already. And I think the average is 4.22. So it seems like it's a good one. So I'm going to keep this one on my radar and see kind of what other people think before I pick it up, but it sounds interesting to me. And then on April 26th is The Love Algorithm by Camilla Islay. And this is the third book in her True Love series. I haven't read anything from this author. It sounds interesting though. And this author, I went to her website and she has a massive backlist. So I don't know if she was an independent author at one time too or what. But this says, at 28 with a PhD under her belt and a meteoric rise to head of research and development at Mercer Robotics, Reese feels her decision to put her career first has worked out pretty well for her. Sure, she doesn't have any personal relationships to speak of, but she does love her team and they like her too. So when she's called to the big boss's office and told she will be looking after his son while he does a rotation in her lab, she's not thrilled. And her hard work and achievements have boiled down to being a glorified babysitter, especially to a billionaire playboy with zero experience of mechanical engineering. But then tall blonde Thomas walks into her office and Reese realizes this assignment is going to be even harder than she thought, because the CEO's son is not only extraordinarily gorgeous, chiseled, and charming, he's also on course to become her new boss one day, and so extraordinarily out of bounds. As the pair get to know each other, can Reese hold her nerve and her breath and her beliefs, or will she fall victim to the billionaire charm? So this is a enemies to lovers trope, workplace rom-com. It says it's perfect for fans of Sarah Adams, Lynn Painter, and Joe Watson. But if you want to read this, it comes out on April 26th. I'm going to hold off on getting this book. I kind of want to just keep my eyes on it and see what others think. Now, the very last book I have for you guys is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. So I have read another book by this author called You Shouldn't Have Come Here. I read it last year and I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. It was entertaining. So the synopsis is, after their mother passes, 3 estranged siblings reunite to sort out her estate. While going through their parents' belongings, the siblings stumble upon a collection of home videos and decide to revisit those happier memories. However, the nostalgia is cut short when one of the VHS tapes reveals a night back in 1999 that none of them have any recollection of. On screen, their father appears covered in blood. What follows is a dead body and a pact between their parents to get rid of it before the video abruptly ends. Now they must decide whether to leave the past in the past or uncover the dark secret their mother took to her grave. So this is another intriguing book. What I like about it is it's set in 1999. I love books that go back to the 80s and 90s just because that's my childhood and young adulthood. But I'm curious as to how is a dead body recorded, because back in the 90s you had the little, yeah, they were handheld recorders, but someone had to be holding. I don't know. I'm curious how this unfolds. So that's why I want to read this. That's all I have for you. Those are 10 books that are on my radar. If there's any books that I have not mentioned that you guys want to read, let me know in the comments. If any of these books sound like books you want to read, or if you've heard of any of these authors that I have not heard of that I mentioned, definitely let me know what your favorite books are so that I can add them to my TBR. Having said all that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Happy reading. Bye.